just think like Efren and then you'll be all right. Well, Reyes, what can you say? His mind was like Einstein's, you know? He had the greatest ability to think and see a shot that no one else could see.
The zigzag shot.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Do you believe he was going to make that shot?
I thought he was, I'm sure he was just trying to hit it, and he made it, but the way he kicked at it, he had another way to kick at the ball, and I still to this day don't understand why he kicked that way. He could have kicked the other way. But he kicked the way he could win.
Yes, he did.
A head scratcher, but a genius.
Oh, that's like a real good looking.
Toothless, but the most dangerous.
Yes, baby.
His legend was so famous that some aspiring pool players had all their teeth removed just to replicate his success.
Nag-decision ako nung yun na magpabunot din ng ngipin para masabing talaga ni na talagang awig na parang Efren din.
And I guess it worked. Meet the magician, Efren Bata Reyes. He was born and raised in Pampanga. He's the 5th child among 9 siblings. It was quite a big family to keep afloat, so at age 5, his dad brought him along to Manila to have a better income to support them. Efren was a shy kid growing up and struggled to interact with kids his age, so instead of playing outside, he worked as a spotter and a janitor at his uncle's billiards hall called Lucky 13. He made it his home as he played billiards all day and slept on the pool table every night. This is when he started gambling at a very young age. He was so young that he was too short to reach the pool table, so he would stack some coke cases just to make some of his shots. This was when he got the nickname Bata to distinguish him from an older Efren who also played pool in their hall. As Efren continued playing, he kept rapidly improving until he beat every player in their hall. So at age 21, his uncle started bringing him along to bigger money matches. The Hustler movie was very popular at the time, so gambling at different pool halls was a thing and Efren was beating everybody. There was a time when he went to Clark Air Base to literally farm dollars from American soldiers. And because of this, his name had become a terror in pool halls and he started running out of opponents. So his income from gambling started to run dry. He had no choice but to work for a local comic printing press which paid him only 90 pesos or $2 a month. Obviously, he wasn't satisfied with how much he was making, so in just less than a year, he went right back into playing billiards. In 1975, Efren started planning a trip to the US to play against American pool players. But an American sports writer apparently had been taking notice of him while he was beating everybody. This writer went back to the US and informed their best pool players that a new threat is emerging. His name is Efren Reyes. Because of this, the Americans were able to scout him and found out about his reputation, so this ruined Efren's plan to hustle American players for money. For those who are confused, hustling is kind of similar to smurfing in video games. It's like a mythic player playing in the Grandmaster rank in Mobile Legends to farm easy wins. In Efren's case, he wanted to farm wins which translate into dollars to support his family. In order to counter that obstacle, he decided to take on an alias, Cesar Morales. This allowed him to play everybody in the US and beat every one of them, billiard hall after billiard hall. He left a trail of destruction, leaving each opponent demoralized, not knowing what hit them. Like, I swear, his story almost sounds like a backstory of an OP anime sensei who looks like a joke but when in action, transforms into some kind of a forbidden folklore beast. Anyway, his hustling days continued in the 80s until he discovered the big money tournaments. He entered under his alias and went on to win his first ever tournament as Cesar Morales. This gained him instant fans. But when he was asked to sign one of those autographs, he accidentally exposed his identity because he subconsciously wrote his real name. And because of this, his hustling days were over, so he focused on playing and dominating tournaments under his real name. He quickly earned the nickname The Magician because of his aggressive style of play and shot selections that no one, even the greatest pool players, dared to attempt, especially in high-pressure situations.
Efren, 这更高级，这更高级。
Attempting those shots is one thing, but making them consistently just puts the man in a league of his own.
Watch the 9. Look at the 9! Look at the 9! What a shot!
Just like this one, Efren was just a bystander and some younger professional players playing pool were taking too long in planning their next shot, so they handed over the cue stick to Efren. They had no idea that Efren already saw the shot from a mile away. He did it with his bag on his back and a hanky on his hand. Here are more examples.
So Efren looking up. Oh, whoa! What a shot! Efren Bata Reyes.
1、2、3。哎呦！
Aside from these amazing shots, Efren is also the author of the greatest shot in pool history. He was playing against one of the greatest pool players at the time, Earl Strickland. The match was very close as they were tied at 12 racks each in a race to 13 match. Whoever wins the rack becomes the champion. Strickland did the break to pocket the 2 ball, then attempted to pull off a safety play, hiding the 1 ball behind the 7 and 8 ball, but he failed to do so Efren took advantage. He then handled business as usual.
Ooh, does he hit these shots good?
Perfectly hit.
But not until the 5 ball became the object ball.
A little bit. Just a little bit, I said. What? He didn't have to do that. You see what I'm talking about?
That's right. Now,
Why did he do that?
He got himself into trouble because the 6 ball was slightly blocking it. But instead of doing a safety play, Efren did this.
Oh no, he didn't. Watch the 8. Watch the 8.
Oh my goodness.
Strickland said,
Oh
"Okay, you
my
can have that ball."
goodness.
An impressive shot for sure, but this wasn't the greatest shot I was talking about because this shot has gotten him into an even bigger trouble. This is the cue ball, and this is the object ball. All 3 other balls are blocking every option Efren had, so attempting a safety play, let alone hitting the object ball, was virtually impossible. But despite the predicament, Efren would proceed to leave his mark by pulling off the greatest shot ever made in the history of billiards. The iconic Z shot. People were in disbelief, including his opponent. Efren didn't even have the chance to finish the rack because his legendary shot obliterated all the hope that was left in Strickland's body as he proceeded to surrender shortly after that.
No wonder you asked me to do this.
What a finish. And I really had to...
This got Efren his 3rd straight championship win in the Sands Regency Open, solidifying his case as one of the greatest pool players to have ever lived. What I like the most about Efren is despite all his success, he remained humble. While some opponents would flex on him,
I'm breaking the balls very well, so that's good for me. I've been playing pool 40 years. I feel like I'm playing perfect. I feel good. I feel very comfortable. It just looks like a one-man show. You know, that's why this game is the toughest game on the planet.
he'd usually just respond with humility.
Well, I feel nervous now because I don't know if I'm playing good or I'm playing bad. I need lucky to play.
And then proceeds to give his opponent a high-quality billiard seminar.
Yeah, you like this so far, huh? Yeah, looks pretty good over in that section, huh?
And after embarrassing them, he'd usually just say this iconic line.
I get lucky at you. If you play like this 7 years before, maybe I don't have a chance. This is too much money for me now.
Efren's career is definitely full of legendary moments, but it would take me hours to show them all. For now, let me just do the honors of flexing his unmatched achievements. The magician Efren Bata Reyes is a winner of over 100 international titles. He's also the first player ever to have won the WPA World Championships in 2 different pool disciplines, namely 8-ball and 9-ball. A 4-time Sands Regency champion, a 13-time Derby City Classic champion, and a 2-time World Cup champion with his partner Django Bustamante. To this day, he has earned the respect of not just his countrymen,
Si paring Efren, hindi ko lang kasangga sa laban. Kasangga ko rin sa buhay. Ating pong kapugayan, si Efren, the Magician Reyes.
but also sports legends all over the world.
He's so good. They're really good at pool.
Who?
Filipinos.
Okay.
Some of the best pool players of all time. You see on my wall out there, I have 2 photos of signed photos of Filipino pool players. Efren Reyes and Francisco Bustamante. Top 10. Efren's probably number 1 ever. Most people agree with that.
The best player, or the player that I really always liked, is Efren Reyes.
I looked up to Efren.
Efren Reyes. He's one guy I grew up watching when I was young, you know. He's probably the best pool player I've ever seen and probably lived. And he was like an idol, so Efren.
In basketball, there is MJ. In billiards, there is Efren. In bowling, there is Paeng.
Ang Pinoy bowling legend na si Paeng Nepomuceno. Pinakamaraming 10-pin bowling title sa buong mundo.
He is a 6-time bowling world champion and Guinness World Record holder, not to mention a global bowling Hall of Famer. He's considered by many as a sports GOAT, greatest of all time.
Rafael Paeng Nepomuceno was born and raised in Quezon City. His dad was a bowling coach, but he first fell in love with the sport of golf, and he was even doing great competitively. On one fateful rainy day, young Paeng forgot to bring his umbrella, so he had to take shelter. And that shelter turned out to be a bowling alley. From then on, he did nothing else but school and bowling. With the help of his dad's coaching, Paeng's potential was unleashed as he became a Filipino bowling prodigy and became the national champion only at age 17. 2 years later, he would join the 1976 Bowling World Cup and upset everybody as he claimed the championship at 19 years old, making him a record holder in the Guinness Book of World Records as the youngest world champion ever.
Bagged a double and is now looking for a third. Paeng Nepomuceno, a true sportsman.
Most people thought it was a fluke until Paeng came back 4 years later to bag another World Cup win.
Favor of 23-year-old Paeng Nepomuceno, who holds a strike. Bowling World Cup champion Paeng Nepomuceno from the Philippines.
He became famous for his accurate strikes despite having an awkward southpaw bowling arm swing.
Now just have a look at Nepomuceno when he plays here. It looks as though he's off balance, but of course it's an illusion, or it must be, or he wouldn't be 3 times a World Cup winner. Watch.
Yeah, seemed to step off his shot on most occasions.
The man literally proved that looks can be deceiving.
Title-winning shot coming up right now. It's on its way, and there it is, all 10, the strike that he was looking for, and the sign of a man who says, I'm number 1. And those fans who've made it all the way here from the Philippines know that they are looking at the world champion for the 3rd time in his career. Paeng Nepomuceno comes through on the wire and steals it in the tent. Grabowski threw the title away.
Paeng would then go on to continue dominating the sport for a total of 4 decades, as he would win a total of 6 world championships and hold a total of 4 world records, making him the undisputed GOAT in the sport. He carried our flag since day one, making his entire nation proud. But pride never got into his head.
Now listen, you've got the 4th champion, the World Cup title. Are you going to come back for number 5?
I don't know. It all depends on the Lord, because I have to give credit to God.
You're very moved, obviously, and so are we. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now,
to this day, he's still active in the sport as the only Asian coach to have the USBC gold level certification and continues to hone the skills of the younger generation. But Paeng's generation is just one of a kind, because another phenom was also wreaking havoc in the different department, the world of speed. Lydia de Vega was born and raised in Maykawayan, Bulacan. In her childhood, she rarely became the it when playing tag with friends because she was just too fast. This got the attention of the school's athletic coaches, so she got invited to train to compete in the sport of track and field. Lydia's dad was a cop, so he was very strict with her, so she kept her training in secret until her dad started noticing her getting tired more often, which led to him finding out about it. Her tatang then gave her a condition that he would only allow her to compete if he coaches her himself. Lydia agreed, so not long after, she started dominating the sport by winning her first 2 gold medals in the 1981 SEA Games in both the 200 and 400 meter dash. This got her qualified to compete in the 1982 Asian Games. This is where the big names compete, including the favorite to win the event, India's well-known speed powerhouse, PT Usha.
あと10メーターに借りました。宇田1着でゴールイン3冠達成。続いてクリシンカル、第3位に日本の磯崎が入りました。タイムは52秒18です。
But our hungry 18-year-old Lydia was unfazed by the pressure. At first, Lydia seems to be falling behind in the 5th place right before Usha. But on the 50-meter mark, Lydia shifted gears and went pedal to the metal, pulling off the upset and gaining her first ever Asian Games gold medal at a very young age, dethroning Usha in the process.
Lydia de Vega now by a commanding lead over PT Usha. She will win this.
But Usha wasn't going down without a fight, because come next year in the Asian Championships, she would win the gold against Lydia, officially forming a rivalry between the 2 fastest women in Asia. Their fans went back and forth about who really was the fastest, but all the debate would be put to an end in the 1986 Asian Games.
今度は綺麗にスタート。コミション5スタートを切った。宇田遅れている。50メーターに勝った。コミション先頭だ。ベガ出てきた。ベガ出てきた。ベガ先頭。ベガ先頭。宇田追ってきた。宇田追ってきた。ベガ勝ちました。勝ったのはリディアでベガ。2連勝。そして第2位に PT。
This win solidified Lydia de Vega's title as Asia's fastest woman. She would then go on to continue her reign until the early 90s, amassing a total of 15 gold medals across different competitions in Asia. To this day, her undeniable speed behind her beautiful smile will always be remembered as an inspiration for many aspiring young athletes. And one of those young athletes is this kid.
Check this out. Just so much amplitude, so clean.
If you enjoy anime-like backstories, then look no further than Carlos Adriel Yulo. He was born and raised in Malate, Metro Manila. Their house was close to Rizal Memorial Sports Complex, so he grew up watching Filipino gymnasts training and competing there. So it was only natural for him to take the same path. He trained every day at a very young age, and it paid off as he won most of his competitions in minor leagues. He kept training until he became a teenager despite the country's inferior facilities and minimal athlete support. That's until he met the Japanese gymnastic coach Munehiro Kugimiya. He was sent to the Philippines by the Japan Gymnastics Association to train overseas athletes with good potential. On Coach Kugimiya's first visit, he immediately noticed the disadvantages of Carlos' training conditions.
休みの日は休みの日だって考えもすごい強いですし、時間にもルーズだし、やっぱこの時間から始めるんです。集まるのが最初の時は2時間後ぐらいですよね、開始の時間。
It kinda hurts hearing this from a coach, but I cannot disagree because it does happen. Maybe it's the reason why this diving team flopped in the 2015 SEA Games.
Philippine diving team, they're having a rough go at it to start off with. Everything got started when diver John Elmerson from Riga earned a 0 for his routine, which exactly go as planned as he landed on his back. And then his teammate Josh David Pahoyo followed him up in a similar fashion by not completing the rotation on his dive and going in knee first. So obviously lots of reaction on social media.
Sheesh, they were the literal Splash Brothers. Anyway, Coach Kugimiya didn't want Carlos' potential to be wasted, so he offered him to train in Japan. Carlos grabbed the opportunity, but he never realized how hard it would become for him. He left his family in the Philippines and started living together with Coach Kugimiya in a small apartment while studying high school at Tokyo University. This is a school where most elite student athletes go. Carlos was only on his 2nd year. He struggled in school because he suddenly had to learn to both read and write in Japanese. To accelerate his improvement, Carlos' coach required him to write entries in his diary on a daily basis. He studied during the daytime and spent the rest of his free time training with his coach. Our young Carlos obviously got culture shocked, so he started showing some signs of demotivation. He would make mistakes he normally wouldn't and fall down more often than usual. Coach Kugimiya's very strict training approach wasn't helping either.
Focus が going to わら again you doing like this でば The going to big injury if you don't do that there. また考えないでやってんの Without thinking. Don't just training.
Carlos' diary entries never talked about his feelings, so Coach Kugimiya had no clue about what to do with him anymore. It was so bad that there was a point when Carlos told him that he wanted to quit.
Lumapit po ako sa coach ko, naiyak po ako. Sabi ko na, magkikwit na ako coach.
The coach was at his wit's end, so he decided to pull off one more trick to motivate Carlos. He brought him to an all-Japan national gymnastics competition. Coach Kugimiya was one of the judges there, and one of the competitors is Japan's Olympic gold medalist, Kenzo Shirai. This guy is considered as one of the greatest young gymnasts of today. He holds 2 Guinness World Records as the youngest gymnast to ever win a gold medal on a world stage at 17, and the only human being to have pulled off a salto backward stretch with quadruple twist, or known today as the Shirai. Yes, it was named after him along with 5 other great moves he invented himself. The dude was an absolute genius. He rightfully earned the nickname Mr. Twister, and I'm not even surprised about it. Watching Kenzo perform and win seemed to have made Carlos uneasy. He might have just realized that he still had a long way to go. But in that day's diary entry, he never talked about quitting. Instead, he wrote about his admiration for Kenzo's talent. He started writing about his feelings, which was kind of unusual for him. The next day, he showed up early in the gym and wrote his own training plan without being told by his coach. He seemed to have found a new source of motivation. Later that year, Carlos competed in the 2018 World Artistic Gymnastics Championships in Doha, Qatar. And guess what? One of his opponents was Mr. Twister himself, Kenzo Shirai. He performed first and of course lived up to his nickname.
The reigning world champion on this apparatus from Japan, Kenzo Shirai. Oh, and the triple twisting double tap to start. He twists so quickly. Two and a half back, 2.5 front. And that's a quadruple twisting somersault. Deep breath. Focus on the task at hand. 3.5 twists, followed by the full twisting front. So difficult. And a triple twist to finish. You had time to spare. That was Kenzo Shirai.
Such a terrifying way to establish immense pressure. I can only imagine what Carlos was feeling at that moment, because he's the next one to perform.
And what a moment for this youngster, Carlo Yulo from Philippines, just 18 years of age, his first year as a senior. Small gymnast, but he packs a punch.
The announcer said that because Carlos only stands at 4'11". While Kenzo is known for his twists, Carlos shines with his power and elevation.
Double pike half, beautiful flight.
Just take a look at that height. Dude is literally a living trampoline.
Oh, just holding it together there on the combination. Oh, 3.5 half. That was lovely. Tidy in the air. Fast in the twist. Now the arms coming out to show control. Full twisting front, double twisting front. Excellent awareness. Quick glance at the scoreboard. How much time has he got? He's got this 10 seconds. That's no penalty for time. That's a triple twist to finish. He's clenching the floor with his toes. What a talent this young man is. The score coming in, 14.6. He moves into the silver medal position.
Carlos' effort apparently wasn't enough, and his silver medal would then become bronze because Russia's Artur Dalaloyan would beat Kenzo's score, dethroning him in the process.
Straight front, double pike front, lovely control. Double twisting, double tuck. There's lovely style in his movement. 2.5 twist, double twisting front. Locking the feet together.
Carlos' bronze medal finish wasn't perfect for sure, but it still made him the first Filipino and Southeast Asian gymnast to have ever won a medal on a world stage. He kept competing and training after the event until it was time for another shot the following year. Kenzo Shirai didn't make it to the competition because of an ankle injury, but the guy who beat them, Arthur De La Loyan, was there, but surprisingly, champion. But you guys might have already heard of the saying, never count a Filipino out.
So fast in the twist. That was just a double twist there. But it happened so quickly. And a triple twist to finish off from Carlos Edmond Yulo.
Looking at Artem's face feels like he's about to pass out. And when the score gets revealed,
it's Yulo! 5:15.3 for Carlos!
what a ride this video has been. Imagine if Carlos really quit back then. None of this would have ever happened. And this is why he was always very grateful to his coach.
Wala po ako ngayon dito sa harap niyo kung hindi po dahil dun sa kanya.
So what did we learn from their stories? For me, it's their unrelenting guts and determination. They did not win just because they are Filipinos. They won because they put in the work. They went through loss, pain, and insurmountable obstacles. They had the choice to make those things become the reason for their failure, but instead, they made it become the reason for their success. And that's what makes them Filipino. So what about you? Are you here to just listen to Filipino success stories? Or decide to become the story?